Hi, this is Rachelle and welcome back to my channel. I have been working on this folio for I don't know how long. Initially my plan was to do Christmas projects, at least one project every month of the year, but things changed, so I wasn't able to do that. So I don't even remember when I actually started this, but recently I have been working on it again. It's just a folio, simple folio, and initially I wanted it to be a little more involved than it is, but I decided ultimately to keep it simple. So I'm in the process of starting tags for the pockets. So I kind of just have some papers in here as placeholders, and what I wanted to do was have this journal that I made inside of the folio. Okay, so yeah, I wanted it to be used possibly as a December daily, so I needed to make sure that I put enough pages inside of the journal for that, which created some bulk. Plus I put this wooden reindeer on here, and that made it even more bulky than the closure. So I think it's a little too bulky to go in there. So I'll probably end up doing something a little smaller and doing this as a separate piece. Also, it kind of has a different feel from the folio anyway. So anywho, with that being said, I got a question about how I made this. So I'm going to show you. I'm missing one of my tags up here too. I'm going to show you what I did to make this. And it's a good way to use your paper. So, and this is a pocket on the front, by the way. With the one we're about to make now, I may make a few changes, but I'm gonna go at this from the standpoint of this will be a standalone journal. That one I didn't even show you the inside, did I? This one was not gonna be a standalone. Well, it was a standalone journal, but it was supposed to go with the folio. So, but this is what it looks like on the inside. So I have a pocket, and I had started kind of embellishing, and then it just has tea and coffee stain paper on the inside, which I'll probably change with the one we're about to make. And I use scrapbook paper on the inside, and that's what the back looks like. And I made this with a tag punch, but I'll show you all of that. I don't know if I'm going to put this piece on this version. I may just run the closure underneath the scrapbook paper on the outside. We'll see. Maybe I'll do that again because that is a little different. Okay, let's get that out of the way. So for this, I've already picked out some papers that I want to use. I'm pulling papers from the same paper pad. This is Christmas Cabin. It is, I'm pretty sure it was a hot buy paper pad from Michael's, and yeah, so let me let you see what the papers look like. I'm kind of regretting all the foil papers that I have now, because for journals and stuff like that, I don't always really want to put foil in them for this type anyway, but this is what the papers look like, minus some of the ones that I've already used. I haven't used that many. Okay, so, and I pulled these papers out to use. So I've got this plaid, this one with the houses. I thought this would be a nice pocket to go across the whole inside. And then just this red, something simple. It has a pattern in the background. I think that's supposed to be like a sweater pattern. I don't know. So these two papers have a specific direction. Let's go on and get the paper trimmer out here. I'm gonna make this half letter size. Okay, so for this, we're gonna cut it at 8.5. Right? Yes, because we want this to go up and down. And then we're gonna cut it at 11. Then this, let's see, how far do I want the pocket to come up? Let's do 4 inches. So trim that to 4 inches, and then it needs to be 11 inches wide. So we're going to cut off a little bit of this part of the house. We're going to cut off a 1/2 inch on this side, and then come over and cut off a 1/2 inch on that side so that it'll be balanced. Okay. So this is going to go on here like that, and that's going to be our inside. The other one, I didn't do the pocket all the way across, but this one I want my pocket all the way across. You don't have to do this. You could just put a pocket here and a pocket here. And another thing that I'm doing different is that the inside will not be all tea stained paper. We're going to mix it up a little bit. So I need to cut this at 11 by 8.5 as well. So this would be kind of like our first page in the journal. Okay. So I think that's it for all the trimming for the moment. Then we shall move the scraps out of the way. Then I have this fabric. I don't know. It's a cotton type fabric. I don't know what to call it. I think muslin would work for this. But what I'm going to do is actually glue this to the fabric. But I want, and I'm not going to iron it or anything like that. I'm not doing that. I want it to overhang the edges of the paper a little bit. So I'm just going to line it up, put a little cut in the edge of the paper here, the edge of the paper, into the edge of the fabric, and rip it. So that should work to cover. So this is a good way to use that single-sided paper, because I don't have to worry about the white side because I'm covering it with this. Okay, so it seems like it would make sense to use Fabri-Tac or 3-in-1 to do this, but the problem with that is it seeps through the fabric and you can see it, especially if it's like a darker color. So I'm going to use some PVA glue. I want to try using Yes Paste, but I don't want to risk it on this project. I need to test that first. So I know that the PVA glue works, so that's what I'm going to use. And I have this makeup spatula from Dollar Tree that I'm going to use to spread the glue. And I'm going to put down my silicone mat that I picked up from Amazon, and I will link to that in the description box below. And I see that it still has ink on it, so let me clean that off real quick. Okay, so let's pull this in, and I'm going to just go ahead and start adding the glue. I'm going to do 1/2 and then the other half. So I'm just kind of going to guesstimate because we haven't scored or folded or anything yet. So just want to make sure I get a full decent amount on here, not too much. Don't want to oversaturate. Get as close to the edge as possible. And go ahead and place the fabric on here. Try to make sure that it's pretty straight. I probably should have did this from the other direction so I can see, but and smooth the fabric out. You don't want any air bubbles. Let's get that off of there. Could probably use an old card, or if you have a good bone folder, that should help get the wrinkles out. Let's see. My card has glue on it, so I better not use that. Okay. We're trying to get it as smooth as possible. All right, now we're gonna go and do the other side. So it's kind of even. It's a little off. I should have probably flipped it over to do it, but when I did the other one flipped over, I had other issues. So I think this is probably the better way to do it. It's mostly centered on the fabric. So then I would put something on here or let it lay flat to dry. Maybe put something on this side. So we're gonna let this dry and come back and work on it some more.